Good morning, everyone. I'm Shotade Olusegun. In today's video, I want us to dissect mass giving mechanism and relativity explained. So, mass giving mechanism, we are going to actually, dissect the ability of having mass worth. You know, this is related to the margin of electroweak convergence that we have as a result of what Higgs did to actually come up with a Higgs field, something like that. So basically in this video we're going to see gravitational field in comparison to electromagnetic field. So we're going to actually go deep into the nature of time in order for us to understand these phenomena quite all right. So now there is something I want to quickly talk about, which is how do we see it? Like there is something that Ernest Mach said, that if something is not observable and if that thing is not measurable, like we can't measure that thing and we can't as well observe that thing, that such thing should not be classified as something that will be that will be treated as in science, you understand? So now the thing is it right for us to say that if something is out of sight, that thing is not in existence? So basically what Mark was trying to say is that if something is immeasurable and if it is something that we cannot observe, that we should not actually tag that thing as something that is in existence. So basically if we're to look at this, is it really right to say that if something is out of sight, that such thing doesn't exist? So we're going to look at that and then look at our real self. We're going to dissect ourselves, like ourselves as humans, to know how we are connected to things that are not even seen, you understand? So as we are connected to things that are unseen, you understand? So let me briefly tell us what I mean. I know some people might just be disappointed by what I just said. Well, basically as humans, you know that we have been trying to get answers to a particular question, which is, why are we here on earth? What is the purpose of being on earth, you understand? So basically when you look at yourself as human, can you say you really know yourself? You can't say you really know yourself, because you, at one point, you see yourself as a physical being, something in existence. You see that yes, you could interact with things around you, you understand? But the thing is, you see that when you sleep, probably at night, then you get into another realm where you dream. And in that dream, you see probably you have some other attributes, like some other capabilities. You see that you, in that dream, you are able to do things that you could not have ordinarily done in real life. So with that, can you now say that you truly know yourself? Why is it that you are connected to another realm in a dream where you have more power than the power you have in real life? You understand? So that is something that is telling us that as humans we're connected to something, and that's what we are connected to is part of what we're going to dissect in this particular video. So in this video, I want us to go so deep into that mass giving mechanism, so as for us to know how we usually get a mass accumulation as potential, then how electromagnetic fields usually, get rid of mass work as in form of decay in order to, facilitate momentum. So those are the things we're going to look at. Now let's go into it. So, but before we actually dive into the diagram, I'm going to use the diagram to visually illustrate, the point I'm trying to drive home. But now, first of all, I want us to look at my quotes. Yes, I have this quote on Poem Hunter. Yes, poemhunter.com. So if you get there, you can get these quotes. But they are just an extract from my poem book. Yes, I think I titled that poem, the whole book, I titled it Shotades. Well, my surname is Shotades, so I tag it Shotades. There is a particular Greek poet that, invented the palindromic poem, you understand? And since the name is somehow, similar to my own name, his own name is Shotades, and my name is Shotade, you understand? So my surname is Shotade, his own surname, I think, is Shotades. So then I named that to be Shotades for all the, Shotade lovers, you understand? So in that we even have Shotadeology, which is the study of, palindromic use of word, you understand? So that is that. So now let's go through the poem. The reason I have this, not poem, let's go through this quote. The reason I have this quote here is for us to see the value of things that are not in existence, you understand? Because here we're going to actually go deep to get to some part where we do not have access to, and yet we have things, we have activities, things running in that, higher dimensions that those activities are connected to us, you understand? So now it reads as: brain is yet utilized when it is work imperfect. Then I have comma here. So if you now read this backward, then it's going to be: imperfect work is it when utilized yet is brain. Now, can you see the power of reading this particular sentence backward? Can you see that? Can you feel it? Basically, what this is telling us is that when you have a work that is imperfect, that is not yet perfect, it simply means that you have not used your brain enough, because the brain is actually designed and it is developed for us to actually, use it to get the proper path to ideal solution, you understand? So there will always be the right solution to every problem. So if you are here to get the right solution, it means that you need to think more. That's what this is telling us. And now when we now read it backwards, we have: imperfect work is it when utilized yet is brain. Well, this particular sentence, you might not even really get the power of reading backward. And then in this second one, you'll be able to see. I really want this to sink. I want you to have this and let it sink. Because when we get to the part where we will be connected to the higher dimensions, where, higher dimensions that we are even connected to, then you'll be able to understand. So then we now have the second poem, which is: unseen things are valuable than seen things. So unseen things are valuable than seen things. Now, when we now read this backward, then it becomes: things seen than valuable are things unseen. Now, in this second sentence, you should be able to see the big value of reading the text backwardly. So now let's look at it. Unseen things are valuable than seen things. So that is telling us that things that you cannot see, even though they are not even though they are out of sight, they are even more valuable than things that you could see. And how can you get to, attach value to such things that you do not see? So we can say they are even hidden in first place as a result of their importance. You understand? So we can say the reason they are not visible to us, or the reason they are out of sight, is because of their importance. And so look at the second one. The second one has even taken it higher than valuable. It says things seen than valuable are things unseen. Now, like you can look at some properties of your body, like your hand, and value it because you could use your hand to do some tangible things. And then you can value your legs because you can use it to walk from one location to another and things like that. So you can easily relate with things like that. Those things are valuable. But things that you cannot see, they are even more than the value that you have attached to your own part of your body. You understand? So that's what that is telling us. And so we should always seek things that are unseen. And then that will take us to the next level, where we'll be able to realize ourselves as human by getting connected to things that are even out of sight for us, things that are part of us, that in fact they are tangible part of us as human, and yet they are outside our existence as being on this earth. So we're going to look at that. So now, to start with, I'm not going to actually spend much time on this diagram, because I'm going to take us to another diagram where I'll be able to explain this better. But what I want you to have idea here is that this particular diagram is time. It is called time energy wave model. So this is energy trajectory like this, and that travels inversely to time trajectory. And basically what that is telling us is that when time is scaled wide, then energy becomes low. And you can see that relativity effect, you understand, on that relative trajectory of time to energy. So basically, you know that when time scaled narrow, then energy uh energy became high. You understand? You can relate with that. You understand? So now I want you to look at the value we have here. This is the mass worth of electron, and basically this mass worth of electron is outside this time energy wave model. But by the time we use this mass worth, we put it in our formula of everything, which is dt dm equals capital Um plus 4m. If we put this mass worth in the place of this m and in the place of this m, we're going to get the classical counterpart, which is 2,277,250,000 kilogram. Then this one too is in kilogram. Now, where is this particular classical mass worth situated in this diagram? Let's see that here. So now, in this diagram, the 2,277,250,000 kilogram is right here in the time energy wave model. We still have time energy wave model. This is time wave, and then this is energy wave. Now, inside the wave, we have equilateral triangle. It is equilateral triangle because constancy is a key of, is a key in this particular system. So what it does is that in this past phase, because this is the past phase, in this past phase, it actually, reduce the elapsed period of this trajectory by the effect of that constancy. So now, from here, from the point where the original classical mass worth is to this point of arbitrary mass worth, you understand? we have a growth interval, or we have expansion interval. So basically, we know that we are in the bottom C of atmospheric pressure. We are in the bottom C because this space that we have here is atmospheric pressure on us. You understand? And that is why when you are traveling, you are traveling against this field here. This is the gravitational field. When you travel against it, you see that you accumulate more mass. You understand? But now, I want you to see that the gravitational field has it has the real mass worth buried inside the arbitrary mass worth, and that is why it is mass convergent mechanism, because as you travel against it, you acquire more mass. You understand? And if you now look at the electromagnetic field that we have, which is at quantum level, so this is the energy, this is the low energy state. At low energy state, we have arbitrary mass worth, which is what we have here. This one is arbitrary mass worth because we have used electron in our formula of everything to have this time energy wave model. Then another thing I want you to know is that this constancy varies based on the mass worth that is used. Now, I use 86 kilogram in that formula instead of getting 5.7 times 10 raised power 48 at classical realm. For that 86 kilogram, instead of having this, I have 2.20 times 10 raised power 41. So it varies based on the mass worth that is used. And now we have the wave amplitude at quantum level to be 5.7 times 10 raised power minus 48. Okay, now when you look at this mass worth is arbitrary because here, when you supply this wave amplitude inside the formula of everything, we're going to arrive at this mass worth, which is 0.00000001423. I don't know, maybe it will be in a kilogram. So this means that electron, this is the mass worth of electron while in motion, because this is arbitrary stable point. It's not really stable. It's not really static, you understand? So it is more or less like arbitrary boundary, you understand? So now what we have here is not the real mass worth of electron. So that shows that electromagnetic field, it decays mass worth in order to be light, in order for it to be extremely light, for to facilitate momentum, you understand? So we have fields that accumulate mass, and then we have fields that decays mass. So that is, you can see that they are doing different things. So now here we can see that this arbitrary is not the real worth, and that is somehow related to what I said from the beginning, that we as human, can we really say that we have known our true self being on this earth? So based on that, we can see that here we have the real mass worth, but the completing part of this classical mass worth, its own real mass worth, is actually outside the system. It's actually outside the time energy wave model. And then we know that humans' existence, or probably star, whatever it is, humans' existence is from quantum mechanics to classical mechanics. So we humans, we develop from quantum mechanics to classical mechanics. So now, if the real mass worth at quantum level is outside the system, that means that the real mass worth that we have at classical level is not complete, and that we can liken to ourselves as humans as well, that, well, we need to search for what is hidden in order to realize who we truly are. Now, in explaining what consciousness is, I actually tag this mass worth of electron as the conscious worth. And because of the relativistic scaling that we have right here, this is the present phase, and then it is vertical line, so that means that it is instant. So because in formula of everything, we manually annihilate the suspension of weak conveying force down to quantum level in order to connect to the weak point of quantum realm. So we annihilate the zeros. Because we are annihilating the zeros, so it's going to be instant. And by the time we annihilate the zero from this weak suspension at classical realm down to the weak suspension at quantum realm, we discover that the trajectory is even is even beyond this suspension. So it travels beyond into another higher dimension to get the real mass worth of electron. And because that real mass worth of electron is outside the system, and that real mass worth is connected to the real mass worth here, then that real mass worth of electron is injected back into the system. And you can see that this mass worth in motion is so tiny. So the space we have is not too big for this real mass worth of electron. And so that real mass worth of electron quickly decays to accelerate momentum towards the singularity of the future. So what do we have there? So it means that the feeling of being conscious comes outside our existence as human. You understand? So it comes outside. It's something that pops in and pops out, more or less as we have popping in of virtual particles in vacuum space and then popping out of virtual particle. So consciousness is actually related to that. So now we can see that from this explanation, we could see that our real being comes from being conscious. So our real being comes from being conscious, and then when it pops in, we then get to feel conscious. You understand? And then another thing I want you to look at is, I want us to look at this text that we have here, because I want to explain this mass given mechanism quite all right. Now, based on the diagram that we have up here, what this is saying is that the original mass worth is buried inside the arbitrary mass worth. Thus, the direction of momentum is inward as convergence of mass, and that is potential energy for you. And we have that at classical realm, and we could as well tag that gravitational field. So that is what we have right here. The arbitrary mass worth is what we have up here. This is the real mass worth. Real mass worth. Now you can see that real mass worth is buried inside the overall constant speed of light. Now basically you see the line that we have here, that is the constant speed of light that is visible to us. And that is the number approximately 3.0. Yes, I think 3.0 times 10 raised power 8. So this is just the region. Well, by having this, we can see the reason why we can anything that has mass cannot travel beyond the speed limit of light. But that is only obtainable at classical realm. It is not obtainable at quantum realm. So now basically, this what we have here, we can see that the mass worth, the real mass worth, is buried right within the constraint of light speed. But the overall light speed is this particular value, which is 5.7 times 10 raised power 48. It simply means that for us to travel beyond the speed limit of light, we would have, you know, stretched energy up to this point. So time would have, you know, stretched energy up to this point, and when it reaches that point, then it means that we have reached the point of spontaneous symmetry breaking. And so then, like that, we can see why everything with mass cannot travel beyond the speed limit of light. So now here, when we look at this, this is the arbitrary mass worth. But the real electron value is outside, not inside, just as we have this one. So what that is telling us is that the real mass worth, for us to get it, we would have to stretch, we would have to stretch energy up to the point of spontaneous symmetry breaking. So now we can see that this one is related to, you know, what we have in the nuclear fusion of deuterium and tritium. You know that it's until when tritium and deuterium, when it get to the point of merging, that is when the repulsive energy becomes so intense. And same thing is also applicable to that limit of light. You know, when protons are being accelerated close to the speed of light, that protons, those protons, they started accumulating mass worth when they get to the edge, to the boundary limit of light, and then they started accumulating mass worth. Now that is telling us that there is boundary limit for light, and then we can exceed that boundary limit by having appropriate temperature and appropriate force. So now at quantum level, now this thing, Dirac was able to get, by his formula, he was able to get something, you know, related to this, and so he tagged it negative energy. And for him to actually solve that mystery of vacuum space, he now said that because, you know, electrons are fermions, so they can't actually occupy the same state. You know, let's say we have this as our we have this as one dimension, and the dimension where this real mass worth is higher dimension. So electrons cannot occupy the same position like that. So for us to now get to that energy, negative energy, Dirac said that if there is huge radiation, you understand, then that could make the electron in the higher dimension to vacate the space, and so there will be empty space. And by having empty space, which is O in that place, that will serve as a positive, it will act as positive charge. And as a result of that, then we can have electron to move from this state into that higher dimension. That is how it was able to solve it. And now we can see that here we have boundary. Then before anything can travel beyond this boundary, there will be a lot of mass loss. You understand? There will be a lot of radiation. And as a result of that radiation, that can actually be related to what Dirac said. But in real sense, based on my own discovery, what we have outside is the real mass worth of electron that must be injected back into the system to accelerate, because this is a weak energy state, and it is a stable fixed point. So external energy is needed for this mass worth to travel towards the singularity of the future. So now we see that of classical. Let us see that of the quantum. Now this one says the original mass worth is pushed outside the arbitrary mass worth. Thus, the direction of momentum is outward as divergence of mass. So we tag that kinetic energy at quantum realm. So we have that at quantum realm, and that could be likened, that could be termed electromagnetic field. So that is how to explain electromagnetic field, then gravitational field. So another thing we see right here is that in this diagram, we see that the whole thing has changed because we have the trajectory to be inversely away from each other here in this past phase. But in this future phase, we have the trajectory approaching each other. So time is scaling narrow as energy keeps on increasing. And here we have entropy. And definitely what we have, if we can just try to like visualize what is happening, you will see that here we will have more gravitational field than electromagnetic field. So gravitational field overpower overpowers electromagnetic field here. But here electromagnetic field will be higher, will be bigger than gravitational field. And so that gravitational effect will be more intense in this future phase. So that has explained how we can actually, get mass worth for, cosmological objects in the universe. That is how they acquire mass. You understand? And then another thing I want to briefly say is that now we have seen that we have a particular force that is decaying mass relative to another force that is accumulating mass. So by that we know that by nature what we have here is different from what we have here, even though we have a symmetric nature by momentum. And even with that, you can't just say it is symmetric because the speed of motion here is faster than what we have here. So the motion is moving towards balanced motion, and it is even balanced here. It is balanced here. This one too is balanced, but this one is faster than this. So basically, with that, I realized that I cannot use equation to, as formula of everything to solve the mystery of the universe. And that's why I come up with this particular formula, which is dt dm equals capital Um plus 4m. So it's a formula, and it is a kind of formula that fits back on itself. So whatever input you give to this formula, that the output of the formula can as well be used as input to generate another thing. And you can see that like the amplitude wave that we have, we put it back into the formula to have the mass worth of electron y in motion. So basically this formula is powerful, so powerful than having equation. So I use a Schrodinger wave equation, and I realize the I realize a particular flaw in it. And that's when I realized that it can't just be equation, because the universe is not entirely symmetric. So there is asymmetric nature in the symmetric nature of the universe, and that's why I have to settle for this particular formula. So in Schrodinger wave equation, I could see that a part, even though the formula is to actualize, the formula is to, the equation, Schrodinger wave equation is to actualize equation like both sides should be equal. Probably maybe it was made equal when renormalization is used, you understand? But when I use it in my research publication, I didn't use imaginary number, I didn't use Euler value, I didn't use renormalization for me to have clear picture of what is happening with the wave equation. So now by solving the by using the equation with E equals mc squared, then I put momentum there as well. By using that, I realized that there is arbitrary worth in one side, and then there is a singularity in other side. So that means that the universe has a kind of a boundary limit in one side, and then it has no boundary limit in other side. So from there, then I realized that what one could use to solve the mystery, the problem of universe, can never be equation. So you can see that I use differential calculus, then use chain rule, because I want to integrate the relationship of energy to time, then relationship of time to mass, then relationship of mass to energy, or you know. So three things are embedded in the formula, which are mass, time, then energy. So once we know the relationships between the three, then we'll be able to solve the mystery. And so we have solved that mystery. So that is that. I believe this video is quite informative and insightful. If you like the video, make sure you like it for real by clicking the like button. Then make sure you share this video with your friends. We want it to travel as far as possible, as quick, as fast as possible, so that people will be aware of this new discovery, and so we can have the necessary advancement in science and technology. Then make sure you subscribe to this channel. That one is very important. You can say that what I've been discussing from the inception of this video, you can see that which I have been discussing is novel discovery. You understand? And if you really want to know more about mystery of the universe, using this novel discovery to explain it, you have to subscribe to this channel. So with that, you'll be notified for the subsequent videos. Okay, so that is it. Then it's a novel discovery. I will put the link to my research publication in the description below. You too can download it and solve that. Explore the formula to see what you arrive at. Thank you. God bless you.